Anglo American is a global leader in the mining and natural resources sectors. The company has interests in gold, platinum, diamonds, coal base and ferrous metals, industrial minerals, paper and packaging and ferrous metals, as well as financial and technical strength. Anglo American has a market cap of 345 billion rand, a price to earnings ratio of 10.5 and a dividend yield of 2.3%. Should we all be buying Anglo American and forgetting about everything else?
Look, the reason we put them in this luxury sector conversation, of course, is because they own De Beers. Now, they used to own only 45%. The Oppenheimer family owned 45 and had control, and the Botswana government owned the other 10. Recently, they bought out the Oppenheimers, and they paid about $5.1, $5.2 billion for that stake, which values the whole of De Beers, if you do the maths, at about 90 billion rand, of which, Anglo American only has a market cap of 355. But to be fair, the diamond business isn't the real reason that you'd be making a call today to buy or sell Anglo, because they've got some other fish in the fire, and the one is Anglo Platinum, and the other one, of course, is that big iron ore business in Brazil.
Is that a statement, fish in the fire?
Another iron in the fire, fish in the frying pan,
from the frying pan
into the fire.
You've lost your way on that statement, Jonathan. Looking at current levels, we're tracking where? Just below 300 Rand on Anglo American there and thereabouts?
Yeah, look, it's come off quite a bit recently. It had a bit of a bounce now to come back. Certainly, I mean, Anglo American is trading at less than NAV. If you look at its history, if you've ever bought it when it's been less than NAV, you've done well. So it is cheap. I mean, the question is, why is it so cheap? I mean, if you look at it, how it's done relative to Billiton, Billiton's been the one to own rather than Anglo American. And in my mind, it's come down to actually one factor. Its management hasn't delivered.
Is that it? Cynthia Carroll, it's all on her shoulders.
Look, I mean, they made a number of important moves just before she came in and since her tenure as well, both in terms of asset optimization. So they got shot of all the industrial interests locally. They focused in on iron ore with Kumba, which was a good idea. With the Brazilian thing, not so much, because it's proved much more expensive to get the lines developed and all the other problems. They've had issues with their copper assets, fighting a little bit with the Chilean government, but that's okay. But the biggest disappointment of all has been Anglo Platinum, because that's their biggest asset, but it's delivered the least profits. And we know why. It's because it's having all the same problems that we know are going on up there. So now the vultures are circling. People are starting to write. I mean, there was a comment.
Are they calling for Carroll's head?
They have been. And in the Wall Street Journal last week, there was an article, the most scathing article I've ever seen about a company, basically saying they should throw in the towel. They should quit, they should get out of South Africa, they should close and shut down the iron ore project in Brazil and basically sort of just give up, which doesn't really make sense. But as far as Cynthia Carroll's concerned, she made a fairly good argument at last month's earnings about how they were going to box on and make money and not make money. I just don't know what to do really.
How long has she been at the helm? Let's put this into a little bit of perspective.
She's been there just over 5 years, I think.
Since Tony.
It's enough time to have established a track record.
Well, I mean, I'm quite excited. I mean, there's the Glencore Xstrata deal, and we know that Mick Davies is going to be out of a job fairly soon. And I mean, I'd be one as a shareholder putting up my hand saying, I'd like him at the helm of Anglo American.
Will that make the difference? If Mick Davies went in, would you buy it?
I'm not so sure. For me, it's all about the assets, and as I say, those decisions get made a long time ago, and then you look good or bad depending on the calls you make. I think Cynthia Carroll did a lot of things right, but at the same time, the portfolio is a little bit constrained by its historic roots. So you couldn't have known 5 years ago that the platinum thing was going to be such a mess.
But the platinum will recover, Paul. I mean, platinum is not going to disappear as an asset going forward.
Yeah, but at the same time, it just looks as though the margins and the market's appetite for that industry have really sort of slumped off, and I don't see that recovering anytime soon. The money that's been spent on Minas Rio in Brazil is now sunk. I mean, it's sort of, you're so far beyond the point of no return.
So you sound as though you are telling Anglo American just to pack it up anyway, give up.
No, the interesting thing is the chairman, John Parker, is really always in his business life been a seller of businesses. So I do anticipate some form of corporate action eventually with Anglo, whether it gets split up or whether it gets sold to a larger bidder. Remains to be seen, but I don't think you can buy the stock on that basis.
Well, there are a lot of people who are buying it now, hoping that it's going to go back to 600 Rand. Are they smoking their socks? That is a statement, isn't it?
We own a fair amount of it, so I mean, I certainly hope it is going to go back to 600 rand. I don't see that happening in the short term, but I mean, from a value perspective, I think there is value there. They have got good assets. I think the platinum sector, I mean, we know the platinum sector is completely bombed out, and the world does need platinum. I mean, we're all going greener. We need more catalytic converters. So platinum, there has to be a realistic price paid for platinum at some point. My one concern is I don't think Cynthia Carroll's done her capital allocation right. Maybe if I ask Paul, what do you think of the price of 90 billion rand for De Beers? Would you have paid that?
Look, I think De Beers is a good business, and I think you've got to be big and have a big balance sheet to do well in diamonds, because you have a good 3 years, then a bad 5 years, and then a tremendous 3, and so on. So I think it's fine, and I think that price is probably okay. In fact, I like the fact that they just said to the diamond site holders from now onwards that's going to be in Gabs. So no more going to London. Now you've got to come here to pick the stones. So I think it's fine.
Hot or not on Anglo American, Paul?
No, I'm not. I'm afraid. I think it's going to be a bit of a value trap for the years to come.
Jonathan, hot or not?
I'm hot on Anglo American.
You're hot on Anglo American. Of course, you own it.
Lots of it.